Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitang Tang Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Purijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitangscha Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksur Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Bhango Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamahang Vande Sri Gurundina Tarinam Hantaya Madhyalabala Haridasa Bharja Yad Rama Krishna Charana Sparasha Pramoda Manam Tanoti Sahago Ganayastayoryat Pani Yasuya Vasakandara Kandamule. And this verse, Srila Gurudev's favorite from Garga-samhita about Baladev. Spura damalakiritam kinkini kankanarham chaladalaka kopalam kundala shri mukhabjam tuhina kirimanogyam nila megambaradyam halamu shalabishalam kamo palam sammide ananda lila maya vigrahaya hemavadivyachtavi sundaraya tasmai mahaprema rasapradaya chaitanya chandraya namo namaste. So Srila Guru Maharaj, he has said that for us to understand Krishna, some non-Krishna is necessary. And then we might, is that a good thing? Like, aren't we trying to get away from non-Krishna things and transition? But it's Guru Maharaj's delightful way of analyzing things. So he's reminding us in this context that non-Krishna means Baladev, Radharani, like that. Right? The first other than Krishna. Right? We hear in the Balaram glory section of Charitamritam, Ekala Ishvara Krishna ar sabritya. There's one Ishvara, and that is Krishna. And if they can play in another place or just for this period. So our sabritya means all others are servants. So from our predicament is that we are envious of Krishna or want to imitate Krishna or usurp the position of Krishna. And in one sense, for the finite to take that position toward the infinite is ludicrous. Right? But in the case of Balaram, it would seem almost tenable. If he's the first other than Krishna, then he could compete on a practically equal level. But we see the first other than Krishna. What is his mood? Devotion. And not envy of Krishna or to be competitive toward Krishna, but to serve Krishna. Right? And to what degree? Another one of his names, Ananta, unlimited. So again, if we analyze servitors, you see they have different service aspirations, but if we look at his position, we see he has unlimited service aspirations and unlimited capacity to fulfill those aspirations. Really, like just in another area, because it's a little distracting. Right. So, what are the examples of that? We're told thinking, feeling, willing. Guru Maharaj, Krishna predominantly thinking in this context. Feeling, that is for Radharani, is the head of Radharani Shakti. But willing, that's Baladev's category. He's going to fulfill all the desires of Krishna. If we say, Icha Shakti Pradhan in Krishna, then the Gurudeva like to say the wills of Krishna. When you say Krishnera Icha, if it is the will of Krishna. So Krishna wants particular things. How is it arranged? All by Balaram, Baladev. So we hear the pastimes are cast and scripted by Baladev and Yogamaya. The whole spiritual world really manifests by Balaram, Baladev. Because if you have here's Krishna, and the first other than Krishna is Balaram, then when we hear about Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, the Chaturvyuha, and I always find it interesting, then we hear the second quadruple, which is Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Then the Purusha avatars, Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kiradakshaya Vishnu, right? And, all the avatars descending in this world through the agency of Kiradakshaya Vishnu. Then Purusha avatars, Lila avatars, everything we can conceive. If we trace back, we will see the origin as being Baladev, Balaram. So, and not limited in that way. Ananta means unlimited. So as we told here, the Shringasan. How is Baladev present here as the Shringasan? The seat, the bedding, the upavit, the sacred thread, the paraphernalia. And it reminds me of when in the mundane world, when someone is so full of love towards their beloved, and they start making these expressions. They want to be the ground beneath their feet. They want to be all these different things. So we might mock that or laugh it off. But here it's actually possible. So Baladev, he can be the ground beneath his feet, the seat upon which he sits, the clothing. We just celebrated the Rath Yatra. And we heard that Mahaprabhu, he gave instructions. What is that group for the ropes? Srikanda? Huh? Kulinagram. He tells them, your service every year will be to bring the ropes by which the chariots are pulled. And we'll hear when they're giving a detailed analysis, they'll say, these ropes are the expansion of Anantadev. So the very ropes by which they're pulling the chariot of Jagannath, that is also Ananta. And if we think Krishna is first, then the first other than Krishna who takes the position of his brother, well, then by conventional understanding, he should be the younger brother, right? But Leela contradicts mundane rationale. What do we hear instead? Balaram is the elder brother of Krishna. That's the position he occupies, right? So one of Krishna's names is Ramanuja. So here, Rama meaning Balaram, Anuja means the little brother. He's the little brother of Baladev. So in this brotherly relationship, if it were equal Sakya Rasa friendship, the age of Balaram being older than Krishna allows him to have Sakya Rasa feelings, friendship, but also Vatsalya Rasa, some parental tinged affection, to care. So Yashoda Mai, just like the Braja Gopis, they cannot tolerate separation from Krishna. What to speak of the position of Mother Yashoda? How intolerable a day in the life of Yashoda is. That the morning comes and the breakfast is finished, and now Krishna, in the company of Balaram and cowherd boys, will enter the forest of Vrindavan. It's going to be unbearable separation from her. If we hear of Braja Gopis, Atati Yad Bhavan, Anikananam, Trutirugayate, Tamapashatam, the blink of an eye's worth of separation is like a yuga. Something here. The blink of an eye's worth of separation is like a yuga. So, similar the position of Mother Yashoda, so much so that there are descriptions of when all of the cowherd boys assemble at Nanda Bhavan, ready to take Krishna for a day of cowherding in the forest, and Yashoda Mai has to say goodbye. She's kissing the face of the lotus face of Krishna, and they take him away, and then they have to bring him back. They take him away then a little further, they have to bring him back. She's practically fainting. And they have to do this maybe 100 times. And the only way that she can finally agree is that he'll be under the care of Balaram. That brings some solace to her heart, that if Baladev is there, then, as Gurudeva, then I'm worry-free. But she's probably not worry-free. She's still a little worried because she knows what a day of pastimes are like in Vrindavan. But she's all right, Balaram, you take care of Krishna, your little brother. Make sure that nothing happens to him. Right? And Braja Gopis are watching from the sidelines and thinking, they're saying, I wish I was a cowherd boy. Then I could go with Krishna every day to the forest. But we're gopis and we can't go. How unfortunate is our position? But so under the care of Baladev, that element of Vatsalya Rasa, parental care. And Guru Maharaj mentioned, sometimes in their play, Baladev has a particular nature, Krishna has a particular nature. Same, but different. Right? And the Rupa Goswami analysis of qualities, 50, liberated 55, executive class jiva, 60, Narayan, it's told 62 or so, Ramachandra, Balaram, 64 Krishna. So 62, so same, but different. And big brother, little brother, and the cowherd boys are prone to playing. They're playing different games. And Balaram is notoriously, stringent, that when you're playing a particular game, that the rules must be followed. And, they're both omnipotent. So may the best omnipotent win under certain rules and regulations. Then we hear in the play, sometimes Krishna's cheating to win because that's his nature. But this becomes intolerable he knows everything. He knows Krishna's cheating. That much he knows also. So he calls out Krishna for cheating. It's obvious you did not win here fair and square. You're cheating. And Krishna say, oh, Dadaji, Yasomati, she put me under your care. What can you do? You're here to protect me. And this, is unacceptable to Baladev. So in one particular instance, he slapped Krishna. And then Krishna, I'm going to tell Mother Yashoda right now. Baladev, whoa, little brother, come here. Let me talk to you for a second. Take him away from everyone and say, look, in these pastimes, we're both omnipotents. things are going to happen like this from time to time. It's not necessary if, out of my immense love and affection that I were to give a love tap to you, that you have to go report that to Mother Yashoda. So Balaram is sweet talking Krishna, but it's mutual when they're entering the Vrindavan forest. Vrindaranyam swapada ramanam pravishad gita kirti. Krishna will see the trees are bowed over and their branches, fruit-laden branches, coming close to the ground, and he'll say, "Look, Baladev, how the trees are so happy to see you. The bees are humming, the peacocks are singing, the birds are singing, the waters are flowing. But look at these trees. They're humbly offering their fruits and flowers to you because for some reason they had to take birth in trees. It's not generally considered auspiciousness. So they're saying, if you will accept these fruits and flowers, then whatever was the cause of that will be ameliorated." And we're told, really, this whole arrangement, in one sense, it's all for the praise of Krishna, but Krishna is taking all of that and transferring it to Balaram. As we're told with Kana Kamani Pratishta, you transfer Pratishta, name, fame, renown to Guru. Here, Krishna is saying that it's all for you. And Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur will say in one place that he appears to be contradicting what Krishna says. He said, to be a tree in Vrindavan. He said, in the last chapter, which was the Brahma Stuti, the prayers of Lord Brahma, he was praying to get birth as a creeper, a blade of grass, a tree, anything to enter that environment. So he's saying, then we can understand it's not on account of some fault on their part that they achieved this position, but rather inconceivable, not only good fortune, but devotional merit. And he makes a very interesting point. We hear all the time, and we just heard recently, Krishna sometimes in Radharani leaving the Rasa-lila, going deeper in the forest in search of her. So there's only the two of them there. Right? There are no other devotees, I can say, at that time. So we're saying how intimate that is. And Vishwanath will say, but the bees are there, the trees are there, the whole Vrindavan environment. So he's saying, so just try and imagine when the good fortune or the exalted position, and therefore you have Udava asamaho charanareno jashamahangshang Vrindavane kimapi gula latosadinam, aspiring to be a creeper there, Brahma aspiring from a similar position. So the bees intoxicated by the beauty, fragrance, aroma of Krishna, they began madly singing his glories. What do we hear in praise of Giriraj Govardhan from no less than the Braja Gopis? Hantaya Madrala Haridasa Bharja Yad Rama Krishna Charanasparasha Pramoda. How happy Govardhan is at the touch of the lotus feet of Rama and Krishna, of Balaram. And as they play daily in the Vrindavan forest and surrounded by their divine associates, these cowherd boys who are playing flutes, buffalo horns, singing and dancing and playing in various ways. It says at one point, Krishna turns to the cowherd boys, and it's a whole Vrindavan scene going, and he'll say, that peacock over there doesn't know how to dance properly. And everyone's like, what? yeah, that peacock doesn't know how to dance right. And they know what's coming, and then they say, well, how should he dance? Then Krishna starts dancing like a peacock, and everyone's laughing. And so what kind of things are going on there? So, but when you could say it's a never-ending, ever-expanding flow of ecstatic joy. So Baladev, Yogamaya, script the Krishna-lila. There must be some disturbance, some opposition to take the pastimes to another level. So in one instance, the cowherd boys approach Krishna and Balarama and say, there's this forest nearby, it's called Talawan, that has these wonderful fruits, the tal fruit. And just once Mangal Maharaj made some, and I can only describe, it was like, my description would be, it was like eating coconut flavored mango pudding. But that's an opera of it. I mean, it was just like so wonderful, right? These big tall fruits from the tall palms. So the cowherd boys are very eager for those things. And Krishna and Balaram say, then what's the problem? There's one ass living there with his ass clan. His name is Dhenukasura. And he's preventing anyone from going there. Like he eats people. And then you think as a sidebar, like in Vrindavan. Anyway, can't think about that too. What's going on there? Only Saraswati Thakur will come to our aid in the Shaman Tagajul about Singha Prasen, saying when the lion's devouring Prasen, he's saying, and the lion was in ecstasy devouring him, and he was in ecstasy being devoured. So it's another domain. So they're telling Krishna and Balaram about the lack of access to these fruits because of this ass and his ass clan. So they head there, and Balaram, they see this beautiful panorama of these tall trees, and Balaram starts shaking the trees, and the fruits all start coming down. And these tall, they're big and heavy, so it would make real commotion. And that brings out Dhenukasura, who's totally incensed and full of anger. And he sees Baladev shaking the trees, the tall fruits coming down. So he decides to charge him, and then at the very end, turn around and then kick him in the chest with his hooves. And then the hooves being nicely placed, Balaram grabs him by the two hooves and starts swinging him around. And this is, I forget whether it's centrifugal or centripetal, one of the two. The force of the swing, his pran and life air leave his body. I think that's centrifugal. Anyway, someone will correct us. The life air leaves him, and he tosses them into the highest tree. And that tree hits another tree, and like dominoes, all the tall palms fall. And it's a bloody mess. And his companions, they're seeing this, they're enraged, and since they all come out, and then left and right, Krishna, they're just grabbing them, whirling around, throwing them into the trees, and the whole area is sort of massacred. But that's the end of Dhenukasura. Right? Then the gods seeing this, they're showering flowers and dancing and singing prayers. And it's mentioned as a side point there. This was nothing for Balaram. It's saying, without thinking, back to the thinking, feeling, willing, without thinking, it says, ota protam. The whole world is being maintained by him. It's just like threads on a woven cloth. In a sense, you have so many threads going this way, so many threads going that way. And I thought in reading that, it's like, remember string theory? So many strings going this way. Here we go. So many going that way. So I'm saying, and this is what who's holding up everything, sustaining everything, all the innumerable universes, and even the spiritual world. This is a nothing matter for him, right? But Bhaktivinoda Thakur and the Chaitanya Shikshamritam, and quoting his own, referencing Sri Krishna Sangita, he says, in addition to the beautiful reality and playfulness on display and these pastimes, that they also have an allegorical representation. They're not mere allegory, but they also have an allegorical representation. The demon killing, as it were, of Krishna-lila. Beginning with, like, who's the first demon? Putana. So, and what does she come? In the guise of a, Hare Krishna. In the guise of a nurse, a milkmaid. Hare Krishna. Give her a seat. She can also sit on the... who's come to nourish, she's come to poison. Right? But she looks beautiful and sweet and affectionate, but she's come to poison. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, this is allegorical to the false guru. And baby Krishna means the devotee in the early stage, in the baby stage of devotion. And he's saying they have to be very cautious about the false guru who appears guru-like, Vaishnava-like, and appears to come to distribute some nectarine substance, but rather is poisoning. Like Sanatana Goswami's verse, O Vaishnava Mukod Girnam Putam Harikatamritam Sravanam Naiva Kartavyam Sarpo Chistam Yatapayo. But in this case, about Dhenukasura, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says he represents that dense, ass-like mentality of mundane religionists. Right? Saying they themselves are not tasting anything. Right? But they're not tasting that substance. Dhenukasura, they're not eating the tall fruits. Right? So, but it's beyond their capacity to do that. But they're not doing that. But they're not allowing anyone else to have access either. That's their position. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying these have to be eliminated from the path of devotion for the aspiring sadhaka to make progress. And in this case, he's saying that the mercy, by the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu, or Balaram, Nityananda, that he will come and as he dispensed with Dhenukasura, he'll, by his mercy, will overcome this obstacle on the path of devotion. So, when we speak of Balaram, always connected with Nityananda Prabhu, and as Guru Maharaj will remind us, why? Because we need to get the strongest foundation upon which Krishna conception can be built. And that means on the grace of Nityananda Prabhu. Sometimes he will tell us, by the grace of Nityananda, you get Gauranga. By the grace of Gauranga, you get Radha Govinda. Yatha yatha Gaura Padara Vinde, Vindeta Bhaktim Krita Punya Rasi. Tatat Tatot Sarpati Hridya Kasmat Radha Padamboja Sudamburasi. But in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamritam, Kaviraj Goswami will say how he himself, to get entrance into Vrindavan, got the grace of Nityananda Prabhu. Right? And he phrases it this way by saying, Preme Mata Nityananda Kripa Avatar, Uttam Adam, Kichuna Kore Bichar, something along those lines. So, and what is the position of Nityananda Prabhu? That he is intoxicated with Gaura-prem, right? Krishna-prem, by extension, Gaura-prem. And in that intoxicated state, he has lost all discrimination or possesses no discrimination. That's what Uttam Adam means. Whether you're the highest, most qualified, the lowest, the extremely unqualified, due to his intoxicated position, he doesn't consider those things. Like a person who's deeply intoxicated, whoever's around them, they just want them to be intoxicated like they are. So they're trying to induce them to drink some kind of substance and join them in the madness of their intoxication. They don't care who it is, who they are. He's saying that's what Nityananda is like. And very fortunate for us. So he doesn't care. What is his only consideration? Bhaja Gauranga, Laha Gauranga, Kaha Gauranga, Laha Gauranga Nam. Although he was told by Mahaprabhu and Jagannath Puri to go to Bengal. Right? Once Guru Maharaj said, because the Bengalis are a hard nut to crack. And Nityananda possesses the highest disinfecting potency. And he said, exhibited previously in the case of Jagai and Madhai. Saying, so for Bengal, he considered, it's got to be Nityananda. It can only be Nityananda. So he's sending him there. And what are your orders? Jari Dako Tari Kaho Krishna Vinas. Tell them about Krishna. Give them Krishna Nam. Everything. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Jai Nitai. Hare Krishna. He goes to Bengal. Bhaja Gauranga. Kaha Gauranga. Laha Gauranga Nam. So is he disregarding the orders of Mahaprabhu to preach about Krishna? Or does he understand something more to that? Right? As given in the songs of Narottam Thakur, Nitai Koruna Habe, Braje Radha Krishna Pabe, Heno Nitai Bine Bai, Radha Krishna Paite Nai. We just heard Narottam Thakur singing the glories of Rupa Manjari, saying the lotus feet of Rupa Manjari are everything. Gurudev would sometimes say, in tandem with that, say, everyone knows Guru Maharaj is Rupa Goswami's man. Then why he's always saying, Dial Nitai, Dial Nitai, Dial Nitai, and singing the glories of Nityananda Prabhu? Why Narottam, who could be more Sri Rupas than Narottam, right? And singing the praise of Nityananda, and not in some polite or generic sense, saying, without the grace of Nityananda, Nitai Kurnahabe Braji Radha Krishna, you cannot enter Vrindavan. You cannot connect with Radha and Krishna. Right? So, And Guru Maharaj is always saying, Dial Nitai, Dial Nitai, Dial Nitai. He said, because in speaking about Krishna conception, and the depth of Krishna conception, the height of Krishna conception, the gradations of Krishna conception. Right? There's gradation everywhere and everything. When we talk about Krishna and Balaram, their lotus footprints in Vrindavan, gradation. This Gopastami, when they get a little older, Vishwanath Chakrabarti, he says, up to this point, the lotus feet of Krishna and Balaram and Vrindavan were making faint impressions. But now, with their increased age and size, the impressions from their lotus feet were very clear and mesmerizing to the devotees who discover them. So I could only think, Guru Maharaj, there's gradation everywhere and everything, including the impressions of the lotus feet of Krishna and Balaram in the soil of Vrindavan. Right? So Srila Guru Maharaj would say, so it's possible when we're speaking of Krishna conception, of which there's nothing higher, that maybe we committed, bhakya aparad. Our explanation was not what it could be. Kaviraj Goswami, after describing, the inconceivable pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, will say, what I just described was an offense compared to what it actually is. So if he can say that, and Srila Guru Maharaj can say that, then he said, so I will take the name of Nityananda, Dial Nitai, I'll pray for the grace of Nityananda to restore me to my former proper position. So, and that, and Krishna-lila, when the Krishna and Balaram and the cowherd boys are playing in the forest of Vrindavan, sometimes they become tired, and so one cowherd boy becomes the bed for another one. They can rest there. Sometimes Krishna's resting on a cowherd boy's lap. Nityananda, Balaram will come and massage the lotus feet of Krishna. Sometimes Balaram himself is the bed, like in Sheshai. And so in Vrindavan and elsewhere. But then we come to, how shall this be manifest in Gaura-lila? Right. What I wanted to say was at the conclusion of that Dhenukasura pastime, when all the gods are singing and dancing and singing their glories, of Krishna and Balaram, the Braja Gopis also come. And what does it say there? Gaurajas Churita Kuntala Badha Barha. They look so beautiful, covered in the dust that comes from the hooves of the cows. We're talking always about the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna. Here, Krishna, he looks very beautiful when he's got the dust from the hooves of the cows upon him. And Guru Maharaj described his hair as agreeable negligence. Right? Banya prasuna rechita charu hasam. He looks very beautiful. He has this mischievous smile on his face if we consider what they just did. Right? And what did it say? Next line. Venam kwanantam anugair upagita kirtir. Then he's playing his flute. So they're coming back. It's like a victory parade, you could say. Right? And he's playing the flute, surrounded by his devotees. And that's very nice. There it says, Upagita Kirtim. And the cowherd, they're loudly singing the glories of Krishna and Balaram. And what's the first line And the Matranam, Srimad Chaitanya Saraswata Matabara Udgita Kirtir Jayasrim. There it is here. Upagita Kirti. Similar, singing the glories of Srimati Radharani. So Venam Konantamanugar Upagita Kirtim. Gopyo Didrikshacha Disho Bhagamam Sameta. And the gopis, their eyes are just drinking the nectar of seeing the divine form of Krishna and Balaram and the cowherd boys. And then we segue to Gaura-lila when Nityananda is meeting Gauranga in these pastimes for the first time. Right? Yoga Maya allows for this drama because they're saying, well, wait, they're never separated, they're eternal. There has to be this union and separation. And separation, Guru said, in its greatest magnitude. At first, it's for so long, like yugas, we've been separated. Then more, as it intensifies, it reaches a stage where we've never met. It goes full circle. So here is the meeting of Nityananda and Gauranga. We heard from the Chaitanya Bhagavat of Vrindavan Das Thakur, when Mahaprabhu, Nimai Pandit tells the devotees, I had a dream, a vision last night of this wonderful, extraordinary personality riding on a chariot with the palm tree, madly coming from Vrindavan, making his way here. I have the feeling that this divine, this Mahajan, this divine person is here. Try and find him. And who does he send? Was it Srivas Thakur and Haridas? Or they go searching Navadvip to find Nityananda and cannot. And of course, Vrindavan Das Saraswati Thakur, I have to say. Actually, they could, but he's reminding us, this is a pastime, so, because they come back empty-handed. It's like to create some drama. And when they tell Nimai Pandit, we couldn't find anyone, he starts smiling and says, follow me. And so then why does that have to be there? To show from Gauranga Mahaprabhu, from Nimai Pandit, Gauranga Mahaprabhu, then you can appreciate the position of Nityananda, not independently of that. Right? So he takes everyone and they go to Nanda Bhavan, right? Or Nandan Acharya, his Bhavan, his house. And there is this description of the meeting of, the first meeting of Nityananda and Nimai Pandit. And there we're told when Nityananda sees that beautiful Krishna we just heard the description of, now here's Krishna in this most astonishing, unpredictable, mysteriously beautiful way. Radha Bhava Duti Sibolita, enveloped in the heart and halo of Srimati Radharani. Krishna, Radha Krishna, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahayanya. He is totally mesmerized and astonished. And we're told he's licking the beauty of the Lord. It's a total sensual experience for him. And he's stunned. And the devotees, and this is, Yoga Maya allows for this type of illusion. They don't know who he is. And they're seeing this divine-looking personality utterly stunned in a state of ecstatic stun in front of Nimai Pandit. And Nimai Pandit saying what shall I do to reveal to everyone here who he is? So he asked Srivas Thakur. Srivas, sing one verse from the Bhagavatam. And very similar to what we just heard, he says, Barha pidam natabara bapu karneo karnikaram bibrad basa kanaka kapisam bhai jayantim chamalam run venu sudhaya puram gopa vrinde vrindaranyam swapada ramanam pravishad gita kirti. It's a description of Krishna and Balaram surrounded by the cowherd boys when they enter the forest of Vrindavan, but it's from the perspective of the Braja Gopis. This is what they see. And Barha Pidam Narabara means the one who's wearing the peacock feather, who looks like, in modern kind of, like a movie star. His every movement, his every gesture, his smiles, his glances, right? Karnikaram, he's got flowers decorating his ears. He's wearing forest flowers, which Chakrabarti elsewhere tells us, and the Brahma Vimohan section, that the no mijate abra bapuse taridambaraya, saying it's telling us that the flowers, the ordinary flowers of the forest in Vrindavan are superior to all the opulence of Vaikuntha. So he's wearing the Vai Jayanti garland. Run Venu Adhaya Sudhaya Puri and Gopavinde. When he's playing his flute, the Krishna Adaramritam, the nectar from the lips of Krishna, is entering the flute and then streaming out of the flute, creating a nectar shower in the environment. I mean, this is the verse he asks them to say. And then I say, Brindaranyam swapada ramanam. We talked before not to think anything less of the environment of Vrindavan, the trees, bees, insects, etc. Here, saying, Brindaranyam swapada ramanam. The earth at the touch of the lotus feet of Krishna is shivering in conjugal ecstasy. That's said in the verse. Pravishad Gita Kirti, saying, as Krishna is playing his flute, they're singing, dancing, blowing bugle horn, the nectaring shower from the flute and the environment. Hearing that drives Nityananda completely mad. He starts leaping up in the air, jumping on the ground, and the devotees are saying, Krishna, save him. What they're seeing before them, they think is going to utterly devastate him, his divine form, until at last he's one singing loudly, leaping, crying, laughing, looking again, circumambulating Nimai Pandit, until at last he cannot withstand the ecstasy anymore and faints into unconsciousness, which means unconscious of the external world on account of so deeply penetrated in the internal world. And he awakes to find himself on the lap of Nimai Pandit. Remember the cowherd boys in Vrindavan? But here, a role reversal has taken place, and Vrindavan Das Thakur says, Gadadhar Pandit, Srimati Radharani and Gadadhar Pandit and Gaura-name, is looking at this and smiling and saying, look what happened to Ananta. Hey, Ananta Shesh, you're supposed to be the bed. And then Krishna, look what happened to you. So Gadadhar Pandit is delighting in seeing this sort of role reversal, because generally we say the devotion is detected where the Lord is defeated by the devotee. And here, this is a rare instance where Krishna is apparently defeating the position of the devotee, but we could say in a mood of devotion. So, and the comparison is given, it says that as in Ram-lila, remember Lakshman was hit by an arrow and he entered this comatose condition and was cared for by Ramachandra, saying here, the arrow of Krishna-prem, the arrow of Gaura-prem, that struck the heart of Nityananda, and he's being cared for by Mahaprabhu. And Guru Maharaj mentioned, and I think we have to say that after saying this, that Nityananda, he's saying, the pastimes like Ram-lila, where he's in the junior position, that is not his favorite pastime. Because Ananta, he has unlimited serving aspiration, and it's checked in Ram-lila, because he's the younger brother, and when the elder brother gives the order not to fight this, when he's told, rather than being enthroned tomorrow as the king of Ayodhya, you've been banished to the forest. And Ramachandra, Lakshman, see, let's go. His mood is, no, we should fight this now. What, go to the forest? Guru said when Krishna and Uddhava, they're having a diplomatic discussion about what to do in some particular situation, the nuances of diplomacy and how to really massage and finesse this whole thing diplomatically. Baladev's sitting there and he goes, what's all the talk? I just go there and smash them with my club and this matter is solved. So he has a different mood, a different approach, right? So much so, we're told, and in one state of divine madness, he's telling Krishna and Balaram to descend from the Shringasan and saying, your days are, what is this? This isn't Dwapara Yuga. Your time has come and gone. Now, my Lord Gauranga. So he's always, you could say, the advocate for the fallen. He's the ultimate advocate to be merciful to the fallen. And the whole modern expansion of the Krishna consciousness movement could be considered to be the merciful dispensation of Balaram and Nityananda. So when hearing about Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, his, internal spiritual inclinations verified by Srila Guru Maharaj, some great love and appreciation for Balaram Nityananda, so much so that in Vrindavan, where does he establish his center? In Raman Reti, first of all. We're told that's where Krishna and Balaram like to play. Then there, if you go to that temple, and we have someone who may be there right now, the central altar is Krishna and Balaram, right? Radha, isn't it? Yeah. And Radha Shyama Sundar like on the side, and Gaura-name. Central there is the position of Krishna and Balaram. So when we're observing different qualities, characteristics, preferences, inferences, and I presented some things to Srila Guru Maharaj about this. And he said, yes, he said, we're told that the family line that Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, that he descended in, that if this is very favorite to Nityananda Prabhu, this family, the Suvanavanik. They were at a time said to be gold merchants, right? And for some reason, Nityananda Prabhu, he liked them very much and gave them a lot of grace. And once doing some research, we went to that community, the Nityananda Vangsha, who'd given him initiation when he was like a young boy, 12, 13, something like that. And their idea, and we're just indulging, their idea was because of that connection that he had. And you could say in one sense there's some truth there, but they were saying this is the reason why he was successful in spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world, because by a family guru and the Nityananda Vangsha, he was initiated when he was 12 years old, etc., like that. Right? So Guru Maharaj will say generously something, all things are possible, different angles of vision can be appreciated there. But I think Guru Maharaj has revealed more specifically the proper line of thinking. And he said that having left Vrindavan, and we know the Lila in the middle of the ocean, literally in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the ocean, heart attacks come, and he barely survives, and sacrificing himself, offering himself totally on the altar of self-sacrifice. Guru Maharaj said, divine power had to come down and work on his behalf. Right? And then he said, and more specifically, Nityananda. Guru Maharaj said, at that point, divine power came down to work on his behalf. He said, therefore, I consider him to be a Shaktivesh avatar, and specifically with the Shaktivesh of Nityananda. And this forms the foundation or the basis for the worldwide inundation of Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. So that can also be attributed to the grace of Nityananda Prabhu, Krishna Balaram. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Balaram Avirbhav Mahamahotsavatiti Ki Jai. Sing Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan.
Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan. Jaya Radhe Jaya Krishna Jaya Vrindavan. Shri Govinda Shri Ram Shri Govinda Shri Ram Shri Govinda Shri Jaya Krishna Prabhu Jaya Krishna Prabhu Krishna Prabhu Jaya Krishna Prabhu Jaya Nitai Pandit
Jai Om Krishna Padma Mohammed Bab Jat Atito Sakisi Matsu Bhakti Sangha Govinda Goswami Sri Jai Jai Om Krishna Padma Bhakti Vasa Sita Goswami Sri Jai Bhagavan Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Sri Jai Jai Sapari Saraswati Sri Guru Ranga Gandhara Govinda Sundara Guru Sri Jai Jai Sapari Saraswati Sri Guru Ranga Latha Govinda Sundara Guru Sri Jai Sri Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Mandir Shivapana Guru Varga Ki Jai Namacharya Bhavan Thakur Ki Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivatri Gaura-name Ki Jai Sri Radha Krishna Gaura-name Kunja Radha Kunja Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Govardhan Ki Jai Ganga Devi Yamuna Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Bhagini Nandan Ki Jai Ram Vishnu Bhav Vishnu Yashoda Esi Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Acharya Bhavan Ki Jai Survati Devadev Maharaj Ki Jai Ramyati Bandi Ki Jai Bhakti Bhavati Vedanta Ki Jai Nandan Prabhu Ki Jai Deva Bandi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakti Bandi Ki Jai Nitai Go Pramanandi Sri Balaram and Nityananda Mahaprabhu Ki Jai Nitai Go Pramanandi
Maharaj ki.
Hare Krishna. Jai Shiva Bhakti Ashray Dande Maharaj Ki Jai. Sulakshana Didi is doing the Chinese translation. Nityananda Prabhu doing the Russian translation. Dandavat. Abhazia, the Bhakta Vrinda there. Dandavat. Leela Shakti, an associate. Dandavat. Kumkum Didi. Dandavat. Jivana Didi and Krasnodar. Dandavat. With her associate. Suresh Krishna Prabhu. Dandavat. Sandeep Maheshwari Didi. Dandavat. Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj and the Vila Govinda Bhakti Vrinda. Dandavat. Rasananda Prabhu in Ukraine, Dandavat. Achyutananda Prabhu, Yaroslav, Dandavat. Lakshmi Priya Didi in Ukraine, Dandavat. The Gupta Govardhan Kitchen, Dandavat. Praneshri Didi doing the Espanol translation, very much appreciated, Dandavat. Chaitanya Moyi, Dandavat. Julie in Kazakhstan, Dandavat. Anindita, Dandavat. Chamuna's mother Elena in Moscow, Dandavat. Prafula Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat. Krishna Chaitanya Das, Dandavat. Pavel Brun in Montenegro, Dandavat. Sakshi Gopal in Ukraine, Dandavat. Damodar Das, Dandavat. Jagan Mohini Didi, Dandavat. Supriya Didi, Dandavat. She's in China. Hare Krishna. And bringing others in connection. One of her friends has come here today. Ajita Krishna Prabhu in Kiselni, Dandavat. Shama Priya Didi, Dandavat. Priyanana Didi and Lakta, Dandavat. Hare Krishna. Is that Ekadashi Didi and Tomsk? And that looks is Vishnu Priya. Dandavat. Nadia Priya in Ukraine, Dandavat. Giridhari Das, Dandavat. Jai Srimad Bhakti Sevan Hrishikesh Maharaj looks like he's in Kiselni. Dandavat. Pavan Krishna Prabhu and Krungtep Mahanakan. Dandavat. Gokula Tarni Didi. Dandavat. Anjali Didi in Ukraine. Dandavat. Bhagavan Das. Dandavat. Rita. Dandavat. Leela Sundar Prabhu in Ukraine. Dandavat. Basudev Das. Dandavat. Krishna Kanta Didi. Dandavat. Indumukhi and Mitra Vinda and Shenzhen, China, Dandavat. Is that everyone? Yes? Okay. Vancha kalpatribhyascha kripa sindhu vevacha patitanam pavanevyo vaishnavevyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
On the way.
Oh. In the car? Or uh-huh. Huh? Wow. Uh-huh. Amazing. Hard to believe they were just here less than 24 hours ago. They're nectar drinkers. Really? The whole time? Yeah.